I want to talk about menopause.
Yes.
So a lot of our clients are in the age right now in which they are going through menopause.
Yes.
And I don't know much about it, but I know there's a lot of changes that's happening to the body.
Yes.
Why don't we talk about, first of all, what is it? And second of all, how do you work with a client who's going through that? And how's that different from someone who's not going through it?
Excellent question. So first, what is menopause? Menopause is the gradual decline in female sex hormones. It starts with a dysregulation of follicle-stimulating hormone, which leads to a very gradual decline in estrogen. Because estrogen affects so many different systems in the bodies, there are a lot of different symptoms that women feel. Now, the average age of onset and the years of duration of symptoms vary. So the average age of onset is about 51 or 52. And perimenopause refers to the years before the exact onset of menopause. Menopause is defined. Menopause is defined as when you have not had a period for 12 months. So it's interesting because the terminology is a little confusing. So people hit menopause when they have not, women hit menopause when they have not had a period for 12 months. They're post-menopausal thereafter. Perimenopause is when you start having symptoms leading up to that. Now, let's start with perimenopause because I think that's the timeline of it. So in perimenopause, women's periods start to get more irregular. That makes sense. Estrogen is a little bit all over the place. Now, what other symptoms do women start to notice? Hot flashes. Hot flashes are a big and perhaps most notable symptom of menopause. Why do they happen? There's a little bit of research going into how is our body temperature regulated? How are vasomotor symptoms regulated? And progesterone has a little bit of control over our body's internal temperature regulation. So we're not exactly sure about the full mechanism, but it might have something to do with that. So we have hot flashes. Hot flashes, like you feel really hot and then you feel really cold. That can disrupt women's sleep. It can disrupt women's work. And hot flashes kind of vary in length. They can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. So that is the biggest symptom that women will notice, that because of hot flashes and vasomotor symptoms, they'll have less sleep, so they might have insomnia too. The lower levels of estrogen lead to higher rates of osteoporosis post-menopause, higher rates of cardiovascular disease, higher rates of kind of, women will report declines in strength as well. And there's a lot of cognitive things that happen. Women will report irritability, a little bit of kind of memory issues too. So a lot happens and it can be so frustrating for women. And so the biggest thing that I like to tell women is what you are feeling is real, like really acknowledging it. Because so many women at that age are not heard. And if you think about it, this is the age where women are at the height of their careers, right? And a lot of corporate structures are not in place to support women at this age. Like imagine you're in the middle of a presentation and you start to have hot flash. Like that doesn't happen to men.
I just imagined it.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not gonna go well for me.
Exactly. And
I'm gonna have to take off my shirt like immediately.
yeah. And so there was a couple really good TEDx talks that I heard about like how can we support women at this age? Like rooms for them to be able to have their hot flashes in that aren't a bathroom, right?
Oh, like a hot flash room?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
because these things are important for women to feel heard. So whatever you can do to make a woman feel heard, seen, and comfort during those symptoms while they're going on. The other thing is helping them control what they can control. So I'm big about locus of control. These are the things that I can control. These are the things that I can't really control. Yes, it's so frustrating, really acknowledging the realness of those feelings about anything we can't control. But okay, what can we control? We can control exercise. We can control diet. We can control the attempt of regularity of what time we try to go to bed, what time we try to wake up. That can help increase sleep quality. So just trying to help people regulate those
So how
things.
would you control the exercise portion of it? Like, what would be different?
Yeah. So For exercise, I am a little bit more day to day with those clients. So I think one of my favorite examples is my mom. She was she was feeling really upset because she's like, I'm not in control of my body. There's a large sense like this isn't my body anymore. Like, what am I in? So working on strength training because of that decrease in muscular strength, really working on increasing resistance training. And a lot of women will feel like they are gaining weight during menopause. What happens in reality is estrogen levels keep women's body fat stores more lower on our hips. With the reduction in estrogen levels, that changes, so we end up tending to store more adipose tissue, more fat around our stomachs. So
you're just shifting the ratio of where the
Yes.
fat is. Wow.
Yes, and this is really fascinating. Postmenopausal women have the same risk of heart disease as men at that age, whereas previously to that, it was lower. And so just changing that adipose storage changes women's cardiovascular disease. So that's really important. And because of the higher risk of heart disease, we also want to work on cardiometabolic health.
So it becomes more important at that age.
So much more important. And the more resistance training that we can do, the more we can help prevent osteoporosis, the more we can protect bones, protect risk against falls, and the more muscle we can build, not saying we want to turn into bodybuilders, but we can help to increase the basal metabolic rate to counteract the effects of the decline in BMR that happened due to aging. Right?
Just define some definition for our audience.
Yes.
So basal metabolic rate, that is your resting metabolism, the
Yes.
way that you expend energy at rest.
Yes, and that declines about 5% per decade.
Okay.
And even more when you lose muscle, because muscle
Right.
uses energy.
So for menopausal women, as I understand it right now, is that cardio and weight training becomes even more important at that age versus when you're younger.
Yes. But, so it becomes equally as important, I will say, because there are some really cool studies that say, okay, we have a low frequency exercise population, a mid frequency exercise population, and a high frequency. What happens to those women compared to before menopause to after? And we see that the women who exercise most frequently, they will have, yes, strength declines, but they will still be stronger and have better cardiometabolic parameters than the women who don't exercise at all. So what I actually like to do with women who, especially when they're in their early 40s or mid to late 40s, I love to get them into routines of regular weight training, especially, so that way they are set up for success down the line. So resistance training is probably the most important exercise habit that I would say for menopausal women.
And there is this myth that's been going around for a while, and I think it's still around, is that women shouldn't lift heavy weights because it makes them bulky. So give me your 1 minute take on that.
You're not going to turn into a rectangle is basically what I can say. Let's go back to that look is defined as undesirable by patriarchal systems in our society. And so I think that's important to recognize the history of what a beautiful versus not beautiful woman, where that opinion comes from. And exercise-wise, it takes so much work to grow muscle.
Even as a male.
It's so much work to grow muscle. And so I would say in order to grow that degree of muscle, you are training 7 days a week, and you are intentionally training specific muscle groups to grow in that way. Women are some of our strongest muscles are often our legs. We usually like doing leg days more than men. Women really enjoy doing resistance training for glute growth. And upper body training is important because doing a little bit of upper body training helps you lift more with your legs. It is hard to grow that degree of muscle to look like a rectangle. Lifting heavier weights will not make you bulkier than lifting light weights for more reps. it is all about total volume. So you're gonna have the same amount of volume if you lift lighter weights for more reps or heavier weights for lower reps. And in order to gain any muscle, you do have to get to a certain threshold of fatigue of your muscle. It's like paving over drywall. You have to do enough little micro damage in order for that muscle to grow. So what my problem is that women usually aren't lifting enough to do anything good for them. They're usually lifting so fast that it's getting their heart rate up but not fatiguing the muscle. So it's just cardio.
Right, so they need the intensity to reap the benefits.
Yes.
Okay, so turning that into diet now. You mentioned
Yes.
diet is very important. So what happens during menopausal woman age what would you do different about the diet part?
Protein and fiber.
Protein and fiber?
Protein and fiber. Most women aren't getting enough protein. The RDA is way too low compared to what we need in order to A, build muscle, and B, prevent disease. What I like to
Do
tell...
you have a guideline?
Yep, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So the reason, with some women, I do 1 gram per pound of body weight. So for example, if you're an 150-pound woman, that would mean you need 150 grams of protein. For context, about a cup of Greek yogurt is a cup of fat-free Greek yogurt is 18 grams. Chicken breast can be between 20 and 25 grams. Focusing on protein, really helpful. You don't need to down protein shakes and bars, just change what's on your plate. So don't eliminate any foods because that leads to cravings and over-restriction, and we really don't want that. But maybe you add a little bit more salmon or chicken breast or something like that, and you take off a little bit of something else. Fiber, so important for gut health, so important for regulating tons of different body systems. Our gut is related to our mental health, it's related to obviously digestion, and so fiber is super important, getting in your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. Fiber is a key to longevity.
Well, I feel like fiber would be crucial for any age, right? But why more specifically menopausal women and fiber?
So the reasons during menopause, as far as I know, and I could definitely be wrong about this, or there might be some information that could supplement this explanation right here, is that keeps you fuller longer. So as our BMR is declining, our metabolism is declining just the littlest bit, it's important to not overconsume at any age, but fiber will definitely keep you fuller longer. And there are some really fascinating studies out there about fiber's relationship to health and specifically cognitive decline. So there's some research out there that really higher intakes of fiber can help prevent Parkinson's, they can help prevent Alzheimer's. So those are things that we're talking about kind of later on down the road at that age. So
it's a beautiful match because the protein and the fiber, they both help satiate the body. So you will find yourself having less cravings for things because you just feel more satiated throughout the whole day. So
Absolutely.
I like that recommendation.
And then the only other thing I say, and this is a good recommendation for anyone at any age, lower processed foods. The less processed food you can do, and that doesn't mean no processed food. It means, okay, here's a bag of, I love barbecue Lays.
That's your thing?
I love barbecue Lays, but I know they are made in a factory by machines and I couldn't duplicate the same thing at home. So, like, what are 1 or 2 steps back I can do? Like, I love cooking, like roasting potatoes in my oven to have with like a steak or something like that. Trying to just say, okay, I love this thing, how can I take it maybe 1 step back or maybe 2? But don't eliminate things.
Right, love it. All right, and I want to end with just a little summary of the Lunar New Year event. You were here.
Yes, that was awesome.
Great celebration, and you were running 2 breathwork classes, and I remember there's people crying.
Yeah.
Within that class, what
Yeah.
happened in there without going into details?
Of course. Breathwork can elicit a very strong emotional response, and so that's a big disclaimer that I have before I'm doing breathwork workshops. It can really make any stored emotion or tension or even deeply held trauma come rise to the surface and release. So that's why breathwork is something I don't recommend for people that aren't ready yet. Like anything, just being informed, and if you're ready for it, then amazing. So what happens is we do slow breath work first, Just regulating the inhale, the exhale, about 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. That's the frequency, the resonance frequency to align your breathing with your heart rate. And then taking it up a notch to do a little bit more holotropic breathing. So holotropic breathing is really quick inhales and exhales. You can get to a state of hypoxia, which can, with 2-hour-long breathwork sessions, can induce an altered state of consciousness, which can have people have like huge mental breakthroughs. This was not the time nor the place for that, and so we did like 5 minutes of it right at the end. But it did bring up a couple of stored things for people, and I am so grateful for the trust that they placed in me, and I'm so proud of them for being vulnerable. And we had this amazing conversation at the end between a mother and a daughter and a woman. And the woman, it's so interesting because people always apologize to me for emotional responses. And I'm like, no. I'm so proud of you for expressing it. And I love that breathwork allows emotion to come up because emotion is a tool. Emotion has a lot of information. So instead of seeing emotion as inconvenient, seeing what information is this giving me? This means I'm clearly upset or sad or scared about something, and that informs action. And so this conversation was really beautiful because the woman was apologizing to me for her emotional response, but the mother was thanking the woman for being vulnerable to show her daughter that it's okay. And then we had this wonderful conversation about emotion and its role, and how fearless that younger girl was.
I love it because it sounds like pure magic. And that's really what I was trying to do with an event, to bring people together, to have this human to human interaction, and just kind of see the things that comes out of that type of interaction. When you can be really authentic yourself in a place and be vulnerable, you can make these connections that you otherwise wouldn't make in other places. So I loved having you here for that breathwork class. I love people just excited, like coming out, talking to them. I was like, what do you think? And they just all have this smile on their face. They feel like I've been renewed. So I can't wait to have you come back someday to do another breathwork class for all of our audience. Now, so Rachel, you have this magnificent coaching program in which you bring people through physical health, mental health, emotional health, and you kind of take everything that we talked about and put it into this nice, neat package for everyone. Now, if people want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Yes. You can go to 2 places, icebathboston.com for breathwork and ice bath workshops. We have one next week at Invictus CrossFit that I'm really excited about. Everyone should come out. And then also at uwellness.co, C-O, not .com, for coaching. And I know there's a lot of information, but the reason I love working with people one-on-one is I just give you what you need. So my job is to filter through everything that I know about holistic health and give you the strategies that you just need. So you don't have to do the work. I do it for you.
Perfect. That's what I like. Just
Yes.
have everything handed to me so I don't have to do much besides just listen to instructions.
You did, oh my gosh, stop. You did such an amazing job putting on this event. Thank you for putting on, just bringing this whole entire community together, having so many inspiring people, just sharing the space and sharing what they know. It was like a really powerful, really awesome event. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for being a big part of it.
Of course, of course.
On to the next one.
On to the next one, on to the next one.